So this video is going to be all about how to make more money, which is something that people ask me about and something that I talk to clients about and something that I personally am highly invested in all the way from when I first started my entrepreneurial journey. Now, I have a long way to go still, and there's more money that I want to make. And I also understand that not everything is about money. Life is way more than money, but I also think it's very important to find ways to make more. And I can say for myself that when I first started my entrepreneurial journey, my first landmark that I wanted to get to was 100K. And then after that, it's just been this consistent process of trying to figure out how can I make more revenue, and not just make more revenue, but make it at a higher margin. So how much I'm actually keeping. And I wanted to do that for myself and also for clients because I work in digital strategy. I was running Facebook ads for a really long time. Obviously, Facebook ads cost people money. So I wanted to make this video to talk about what I did to not just get myself to my first goal, which was to make 100K, but how to get past that point. And I want to share some of the things that I've learned so that you could apply it to yourself, you can apply it to your own business. And I'm going to cover two very specific kinds of business models in this video. One is going to be done for you service provider sort of businesses with a consulting combination, and the other is going to be digital and physical product businesses. Hopefully these things will help you get there faster if you apply them in what you're doing. So the first thing to understand is just your marketing funnel in general. And that's something that I worked with a lot of people on because I was a Facebook advertiser when I first started. That was basically my first business when I left the last full-time job that I had, which would have been in like 2016. I left that job and I became a Facebook advertiser. And then after, I started to make creative, and then I took that creative and I would run ads for people with that creative. And basically that's how I started the media agency that I'm running now, which is called Monday Media. You've got your top, your middle, and your bottom. Top, middle, bottom. And the top is always going to be bigger than the bottom. That's always how it is. You're going to have more new people. You want more new people coming in the top, and then some people are going to cash out on the bottom. They will buy from you, engage with you, or do whatever the bottom step that you want them to do is. For the purpose of this video, it's going to be buying some kind of service or product or anything like that. Some suggestions are things like warm outreach. That's reaching out to people that already know about you, your product, your business. Cold, that's people that don't know. Paid ads, that's reaching out to cold but at scale. And social media content, organic, posting stuff. So as you do these things, more people will come down and they'll be in the middle. Maybe they'll follow you on Instagram, or maybe they'll reach out, or maybe you'll get on a call or anything like that. And then the bottom is people will either buy your service or product or they won't. So this is the main funnel that I've been running for since I started in business. These can look different, obviously, at different stages, but my biggest recommendation is to keep this as simple as possible. You don't need a million steps. You don't need things to be very, very complicated. I literally scaled to, as I said when I posted that I was going to make this video, up to $500,000 just without any paid ads, just using this process. Top of funnel, people knowing what I do or seeing it or talking to people about it, like talking to them about marketing strategy, talking to them about video, talking to them about brand, and then they're like, okay, cool, sounds good. Some people, you continue a relationship. Maybe they just follow you on social media. Maybe they set a call up, and then I just get on a call and talk to them about what's up and say, hey, let's do something. Let's make a video for your sales page. Let's run some ads. Let's work on your brand, right? So that's literally it, the only funnel. So you'll be in one of two models, probably. One of two business models. You've got service, done for you service providers. That could literally be like installing floors type of business, or it could be, again, kind of what Monday Media does, or it could be anything where you're actually doing the service for somebody, SEO, whatever it is. The other one is going to be digital or physical products. These are the two areas I work most in, and I would say they're the best areas if you want to make money. Obviously, there's other business models, restaurants, things like that, but I try to stay away from anything where you need a ton of inventory that costs a ton of money to do and where you need a ton of staff, because those three things I find just really are going to eat at your margins. They slow you down, and they just take a little bit longer unless you have a lot of financial resources in order to really make money, where these two, you can do it a little bit faster if you approach it in a way where you're thinking about your profitability as opposed to just like breaking even, essentially. So with service providers and DFY, so the first thing to consider is going to be price. You want to factor in any hard costs that you have. How much does it cost to just like run your life, run the business? When I first started, the main things that I had to pay for was basically just rent and food. Other than that, I basically had no other costs, no office. Running Facebook ads is free because you're just using a free platform, which is Facebook. And that was basically it. When I integrated video, that upped cost a little bit more because now I have to pay people to be on site. I got to produce it myself or get help and hire camera people and things like that. So getting a good understanding of like what are your minimum hard costs and how much do you need a month basically in order to just live/make this all worth it. The second thing that you need to do is understand the value. So there's this equation that says price is equal to cost plus value. So you found out your cost. This is how much I need, or this is how much I want. At least minimum, no profit at all. This is just the absolute minimum that I can do this for. Plus value will equal what you should be charging people. Now, the value is going to be what is in it for them. What is either the emotional transformation, what is the purpose, what is the added experience that you're going to give, just anything that's going to differentiate from just the pure hard costs of the situation. And you need to add this. Like when I first started in video, it was like, all right, it's going to cost us, $2,000 to produce this shoot, so let's just charge $2,000. But if we just charge $2,000, then there's no margin, there's no growth, there's no paying for, extra stuff or just being able to basically live. So you need to add value. If you don't feel comfortable just adding a price point to it, it's saying, okay, well, what does this video actually mean to these people? Or you can look at how much is this business making? Like if I know that a video and I ask them and I say like, how much is a customer worth to you, or how much, what's your average order value, which I'll get into in a second, and they tell me that it's $10,000 and they want to spend $2,000 on a video, it's like, well, I know that they should spend at least $10,000 on the video to get at least one person. And they'll probably get way more, right? So there's this relationship between how much people spend and how much they'll make or get. And it doesn't just need to be financial. This could be really anything. I mean, the classic example is like therapy or something, right? It's like, what is the emotional benefit or value of your mental health? In many ways, I'm not saying gouge people for a ton of money, but there is a relationship between how much it costs to run a therapy business and how much you're charging per hour based on the results that people are getting. That usually has a relationship. Now, the next thing to consider is payment styles. Payment. There's two types of payment styles. One is a one-time fee, and one is called MRR. That's monthly recurring revenue. I've used both of these when I was basically scaling the Facebook ad business and still use both today. So some services are monthly recurring where people pay by the month. Some services are one-time fee. You just pay once, and time is the biggest factor. So you pay one time, but let's say it's 3 months, or you pay one time and let's say it's 12 months. Like you're literally, I'll work with you for a full year. And I saw a huge uptick in sales, especially when it came to selling Facebook ads, in moving from a monthly recurring model to a one-time fee model that you could break up into monthly payments if you wanted to. So I used to say, okay, cool, I'll run your ads. Let's say it's $1,000 a month. But then I started to say, hey, I'll run your ads for 3 months and it's $3,000. And they're like, okay, cool. Like, either they pay up front or they pay by the month, but it's still kind of a one-time fee model. You're telling someone the full price, how long it's going to take, and then if they need to divide it into monthly, they can. The other option you have is to go monthly recurring revenue. You say this is how much it is a month. As I said, I use both. The next thing to consider is average order value, and this applies to both digital and physical products, which I'll get into in 1 second, but under still the service providers and done for you. And I could also say this includes consulting too. I have my consulting clients. I have the clients that are done for you. What I realized when I first started like consulting in specifically social media strategy, digital ads, and even video was there's doing the work, there's the actual done for you element, but then there's also all the consulting that had to get done too. What creative are we going to run? What's the strategy going to be? What have you tried in the past? Like all of these things that your expertise begin to develop, you're bringing to who you're doing these services for regardless. So over time, what I did was I just parsed off my consulting into so I could work basically with more people. And then some people I'll still do service done for you stuff if they need it. Like if I'm consulting someone and it turns out, hey, you know, you would do way better if you added a video to your sales page. Let's actually make that video for you. And that's how those things come together. So if you're running a service business, and even if you've got this consulting offer on the side, average order value is going to be highly, highly important, which is why you have to consider price and you have to consider what that margin is. This one trick literally took the service side of the business from $100,000 a year to $500,000 just by doing this one thing, and I'm going to tell you what it is right now. It's adding in a good, better, best model to the service that you're providing. We do this right now. We do it specifically when we're going to do a video shoot, photos, anything like that, and it looks like this. Let me erase it. Nope, that's not erase. Let me erase this. So basically, I read this book called The Consulting Bible, which totally shifted my perspective on a bunch of this stuff. And then I also read this book called Pricing Creativity. And then I also worked with a bunch of people who have helped me essentially do this. And it's kind of amazing how well it worked. So the first is you're going to go good, better, best. This is when you're positioning stuff and you're going to send them saying, hey, here's what we do. And it could be custom. We still make good, better, best custom solutions. They don't have to be, this is just what it is and there's no changing it. I'll talk to the person on the phone. I'll figure out exactly what their needs are. I'll step away. We'll make a good, better, best proposal, and then I will send it to them. So it basically works like this. You make a list of all the things that you do as a service provider, and then you divide them throughout these columns. So good being cheap, this is the cheapest you'd possibly do it for. Better is an ideal situation. You're if they get anything, it'd be great if they get better. And then best is so high that if they get it, it would just be wow, I can't believe they did that. Now, when I first started doing this, my best was $5,000, and then people were taking it. So that has become higher, depending on the situation. I literally, we put in a proposal where this best one is $250,000. If they go for it, great. And if they don't, totally fine, because they might go for something less. The point of this is that you're not just presenting one price point. You get to see, okay, you take all your pieces of value. These are value. They could be anything from, okay, we got some text communication together. I'll use the specific industry I work in. We do revisions. There's B-roll that we have to purchase, different levels of how expensive that can be. There's different levels of music. There's, when I was running Facebook ads, it was like, we'll do cold, and then maybe on the better we'll do cold and retargeting, and then maybe on the best there's like creative support as well, like I'll actually do all the copywriting. So you divide all these things and you put them in here, and then you want to strategically move them. The airline industry does this a lot. They'll strategically move things that they think are really valuable and just put some in the middle, some in the good, and some in the best. But ideally, when someone looks at a good, better, best, you want the person to think, if I just had that extra thing. And when you do that and you've priced them appropriately, you will increase your margins. There's just no way around it. Because if you price with margin in mind, which means, again, you take all of your hard costs, you add value, like what that value is, you put a price point to that, you put those together. As long as your customers are like feeling good about it and they're feeling like, yes, this was worth the money, because everyone has a different understanding of what is worth what. So you need to make sure that you've put the right emphasis on the right stuff. And then it will be easy for them to look and say, oh yeah, this is totally worth the price. The more you can do this, and also making sure that you're not loading them so up that you can't fulfill. I really struggled with that when I was first starting. Not that I couldn't fulfill or we couldn't do it, but I always thought to have a high proposal, you need so much stuff in there because it's expensive. But you don't necessarily need to load it all up with stuff to make it feel like it's valuable. What you need to do is just put the things that the person wants, not all of it. And I learned that when I was at Apple, when they talked about selling computers. Macs can do so many things, and they'd say, like, don't tell people everything it can do because you're going to lose them. Just ask them some questions and then just tell them the stuff that matters to them. And that's how they would teach you to sell computers. Now, on top of that, you want to consider time. Time is the other largest factor, because there's no point in making more money and making at higher margins if you're not going to buy back some of your time. If you're going to be sitting at your desk 24/7, you're just going to be working, no time with your family, nothing, then what's the money even for? The money is so that you have optionality. The money is so you can step away sometimes. The money is so you can hire the right people while also continuing to make money so that you're can live and enjoy life. I love working and I love what I do, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to just do this if I had to work 24/7. So if you're trying to scale up a service provider DFY, it's very important that you understand how much time it's going to take you to do it, to do the steps. I'd recommend anything between like stuff that's 1 month offers, and that can also go into your good, better, best. Maybe good is 1 month, better you work with for 3 months, best you work for a year. I've positioned those for video deals before and other things like that. But you just want to really make sure you understand how much time it's going to take you, even if it's a rough estimate, so that you can appropriately put the price and the time together so that it is really in your favor. Obviously, we want the people getting the services to also be very happy and it be in their favor too, but you need to find a balance or you're just going to be completely overworked. So biggest thing with this service provider and done for you kind of consulting model is average order value. It's just everything. The average order value is the biggest way to increase your margins, because there's really only 3 ways to increase margins. Is going to be, or to really make more money in the business. I'll finish doing that after. It's going to be 1, more customers, 2, more often, 3, higher price. So your option 1 is you can get more customers. Your option 2 is they can buy more often. And your option 3 is higher price. Now, with the service agency and my consulting, I prefer more often and higher price because I don't necessarily want to work with unlimited amount of customers. Getting more customers isn't always my biggest thing. I'd rather work with the right people who want the right things that I also can help them with. And if they buy more often, like if they join one group, like if they're like, okay, I'll work with you on this thing, maybe later they come back and they get ads, or maybe later they come back and they get video. Like the largest video client that we have has come back so many times. Honestly, I think they've spent $1 million, in just video work. So I do like more often, and I also like higher price points. It has really helped increase the value of what I can offer, increase the value of what the agency offers, because it's a higher price point, that you just end up getting also better clients because they're willing to pay more, the value's higher, and it's just a symbiotic relationship. More customers is important too. It's just about knowing when to get more customers and knowing how much you can deliver. Again, this is under service, DFY, and consulting. Now, let's quickly talk about digital and physical products. So, digital products, a lot of people, like I used to run ads a lot in that space, and people who are like content creators and then they'll sell digital products, or even e-com stores, they'll do physical products, and I work a lot with them on, their brand and things like that. So let's quickly talk about margin for physical and digital products. There's 2 things you want to do. One is upsells and downsells. It's the very first thing that I put in place when I start working with an e-com store is where are the upsells and where are the downsells? An upsell is this costs more, and a downsell is this costs less. Now, when someone's at checkout and they just buy something, that's where you're going to want to do upsells, downsells. You can also do it in email, but anytime that someone's coming to buy a digital product from a page and they buy it, the next page, you will make way more money if there's another offer there, if there's another product there. If there's anything that is either more expensive or less expensive. And this should all be automated because it's just there. It should just be part of the funnel. The second thing is also going to be average order value, but it just looks a little bit different. So this upsell downsell thing is going to increase your average order value, which is how much someone is spending when they come to your store or they spend when they go through your digital product funnel. Let's say you have a $20 product and then followed by a $100 product. Let's say the average order value is $120. Not everyone buys this, but some people do. So you also want to add lifetime value too. The lifetime value or customer lifetime value is how much they spend over time. This can be a lot more expensive to get a new person depending on how you're advertising. Sometimes your cost per purchase or your cost per acquisition might be high. But if you know that once someone is a customer, they're going to buy more often again and again and again, your customer lifetime value might be like $10,000. I mean, it's hard to know until you're like selling products on a more regular basis, but it's a very good metric to have because it's another great way to increase margin. Because if you're only calculating your cost per acquisition and your COG, your cost per good sold, you're only going to come up with the number's only going to be worth so much to you. What really matters in physical digital products is how often your repeat customers are buying. Repeat is where all the margin is made. You can increase the possibility of having repeat by building up your brand, building up your marketing, building up your advertising. But at the end of the day, are you getting repeat? Because that is how you build product brands. There are products where they're one-time product. But the thing about one-time product is that, yeah, you can make a bit of money, but it's not really where longevity comes from. Also, the impact's not that great. Like, some people reach out and they're just like trying to build these like one product brands that, you know, people might buy once. It's like, yeah, sure, you'll make a little bit of money for a short period of time, but what happens when everyone comes in and takes that product in that space? You know, what happens if you're not continuing to up-level the brand? What happens when your cost per acquisition is so high and no one's buying anything else? So the best ways to increase repeat are upsells, downsells. It's going to be making sure that you have customer lifetime value understanding and where you want to get it to. And in my opinion, email follow-up based on what people spent, how much they've spent, what they've bought from you. I thought about this so much working with the main client on our video side because they're in cosmetics. Cosmetics is one of the largest growing segments because of how much people repeat buy the stuff. It's not, you don't just buy face cream one time. You buy it again and again and again. Sure, you can shop around brands, so that's why they spend money to try and make sure that your brand loyalty stays there. But ultimately, it's a repeat purchase product that has a huge possibility of you buying again. And there are a lot of products like that. So if you're in the physical product space or you want to be in the physical product space, ask yourself, is this something people will buy again? And if not, what could I pair with this to make sure that if they only buy it once, that they buy something else? For instance, I consulted with a skateboard company. Maybe people only buy a skateboard once every year unless it breaks, but there's other things they might buy like wheels and trucks and tools to make sure when they buy that skateboard, it's being positioned with other things. Similarly, on a digital product, you can do that too. I see it all the time. I buy a product, the next page, it offers me something else, and it's a digital download. Maybe one's free, one's paid. The other benefit of digital products is that you don't have to ship anything, so they're incredibly cheap and easy to deliver. When it comes to calculating how much you need to sell of a digital product, you should take all of your hard costs that you take to run the business. For instance, maybe you're paying for a Wix site or ClickFunnels or anything like that, and your advertising spend and all of that. So let's say you want to do, I'm going to keep it reasonable in people's heads. Let's say you want to do $10,000 a month in digital sales. You've calculated that your cost to run the business is about $2,000 a month. So that leaves you with $8,000 in margin. And this is margin, you know, not counting paying yourself and other things like that. Like just kind of your general margin to live. Because this video is really about just how to make more money in what you're doing so that you can make more money as a person. So let's say it's $8,000, whatever you end up doing with that, you put it back in the business, maybe you take it out and spend it, whatever. And then actually before you even decide on price, you could theoretically just divide how many you need to sell. So let's take $10,000. I'm just going to do a calculator here. Let's take $10,000 and then you divide it by, that's 10,000, yeah? 50. So if you sell 50, you need it to be $200. You want to know how many you need to sell in order to get to your goal and also make the margin that you want to make. Hopefully this video was helpful. Leave me a comment if it was, and if you have literally any questions at all, if you're like under 100K and you're trying to push it, or maybe you're over 100K but you think you could be keeping more money, I am so there to give you ideas, to help you strategize. Just shoot me a message.